I've got one for you today. I've got Mr. Aaron Ambur, aka the King of Camo. Aaron is the CEO of ScentLok, and we are here to talk about early to mid-season whitetail hunting, whitetail tactics, whitetail tips and tricks for the early and mid-season. Some things, some warnings, if you will, some things that a lot of guys do this time of year that they maybe shouldn't be doing. We also talk about, with Aaron being the king of camo, the king of hunting apparel, we talk about how to dress for this time of year. What types of materials are going to be best this time of year? You're going in and out of your stand. You know, if here in Kansas, I'm still getting temps up into the 90s, so I'm sweating to death. What types of materials are going to perform best? And then as the seasons start changing, how do those materials change? What should I be looking at introducing? What should I be looking at taking away? We talk about all of that and more. We talk about tips as you're prepping for season, as you're running cameras and hanging sets. We talk about all those types of tips and more, where to position yourself in the woods for this time of year. It is a very informative episode. Aaron is a fantastic guy who simply knows the game of whitetail hunting and knows it well. And so we talk about how to get the most out of your early and mid-season whitetail sits. And I just want to say this before we jump in. The myth of the October lull is just that. It is a complete and total myth. Deer do not bed down and hide for a month. But we're going to talk about how to overcome the misconception that deer are gone in October. The deer are laying low and you just can't hunt them in October. We talk about how to get past that. We talk about why the myth exists. We talk about why it is a myth. We talk about all of it. Guys, it is a great episode. And if you're anything like me, you're already getting incredibly giddy and excited for whitetail season. My hopes is that this episode will help you get even more excited for whitetail season. This episode is brought to you by our good friends over at ScentLok, the kings of camo clothing, the kings of whitetail clothing, because of activated carbon, which offers you maximum odor absorption. We're going to talk about some of our favorite pieces, how we use them, why we use them. Guys, the new caffeine cowboy tee. Look at that. Just absolutely the coolest design ever. I'm incredibly thrilled for this one. It is now available at typicalsportsman.com. Go get it. Got it in a few colors. We've even got it in a hoodie and on a hat. Go check it out. The caffeine cowboy design is now at typicalsportsman.com and it's available. So get it before it runs out. Let's jump in with Mr. Aaron Ambur and talk whitetails.
For the true sportsman, it's more than a pastime. It's a way of life. Embrace the lifestyle of hunting, fishing, and the thrill of the wild. Live the life. Be typical.
Guys, there are a lot of names that you can trust in the archery world. However, not many stick out as much as the name Lancaster Archery. Guys, if you've been around archery or bow hunting at all, you've probably heard of Lancaster. Why? That's because they're experts, and that's because they're your one-stop shop for all things archery. I've never needed something and not found it at Lancaster. I've also been able to find reviews and tips using the product that I needed that Lancaster had. Guys, Lancaster is phenomenal. They are experts in the trade. They know the equipment because they use the equipment. And you can pretty much get anything you've ever needed archery related at lancasterarchery.com. You can also learn about the products you need on their YouTubes, in their videos, on their social media. You can also get tips about how to use the products. Guys, Lancaster is a phenomenal one-stop shop. And here's what I'll tell you. Sometimes you gotta be mindful of who you're taking information from. You don't have to worry about it at all when it comes to Lancaster. I put full faith in the guys over at Lancaster. They know the products. They sell the products. They give you advice on the products. They give you support on the products. You can call and ask them anything. They'll get you lined out. They'll sell it to you, and then they'll support you even after you buy it and you need help figuring it out. Guys, go check out lancasterarchery.com for everything you need archery related. Aaron Ambur, the man, the myth, the legend. What's up, brother?
Good afternoon, Dylan. It's another week in paradise, and here we are on a Monday, and I get to chat with you, so life's good.
Is it starting to cool off in Michigan yet? That's the question.
Well, you know what? It did a couple weeks ago, and it got warm again, but at least we're getting some moisture now. It's been pretty dry this summer, so I've had to put a lot of plan Bs in place for food plots this year, and tilling up money, putting money back in the ground, you know how that goes. So we're getting some rain though. And, things are starting to change colors now too. So, when that starts to happen and cool mornings, even though it's getting a little warm during the day right now, boy, it amps you up for whitetail season.
Dude, we had the same deal. A few weeks ago, we got down to like 65 and I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is incredible. Like the high was 70. So, in the mornings it was like 55. And I'm like, oh, here it comes. And now it's back to 100. It's like, well, there we go. I'm curious. What's your thoughts? I've talked to some guys about this, but I've yet to have like a whitetail driven guy that I've really talked to about it. Here in Kansas, we have had the wettest year I have ever seen in my lifetime. I mean, we have had horrendous flooding. There were days like at one point, Cheney Lake, which is the lake that gives Wichita all of their water, in one 24-hour period, it gained 13 billion gallons of water. Like It has been, my shop flooded 3 times, my studio here flooded 3 times over the summer, like just insane amounts of rain. And even off those heavy rain days, it's just been constant. Like it's been every day there's been a little bit of drizzle, a little bit of rain. It's been crazy. And I'm super curious to know like what's going to happen, because there's bodies of water that normally don't have water in them that do. There's little creeks that go through every property that never have water. Now they have water. And so I'm really curious. Like I don't know what's going to happen with the deer. I mean, I think deer won't move as much as they usually do. They're not going to have to relocate like they normally do. A lot of times in you hunt Kansas, this as much as anybody. A lot of times once those fields are cut, they'll completely move. They'll move from the hardwoods because they got to find somewhere that has water. And they might move, a mile to a riverbank or to a lake or something. And I just don't think we're going to see it. And part of me is excited because I have properties that I think will hold deer more. But other properties, I'm like, man, the only reason they come to me is because I have water. You don't see them until all the crops are cut and they don't have anywhere else to go. So I just don't know, man. What's your thoughts on that? I mean, have you ever seen a year like that and kind of how it played out?
Yeah, I can't say I've dealt with that. Most of the time, what I've seen on high moisture years, number one, high moisture years are great. I mean, you talk about genetics, you talk about nutrition, but I'll tell you what, wet years, so the deer obviously have a lot to eat, is great for the horn grow. And plus to your point, they don't have to look for water. And then I think there's a couple other things that I think about, like out west and like Kansas and Dakotas and Nebraska. A lot of the whitetails that I've been familiar around there, just generally, it's not the first thing they wake up and want to do is cross water. I mean, right. As you know, they're a path of least resistance critter. So, it can definitely, if there's water where there typically hasn't, it might change some travel behaviors. And then contrary speaking, here in Michigan, because there's a lot of swamp and a lot of water, it doesn't even feel like they care. I mean, their life is really, or like think about Mississippi and those other, they
have to cross water. Yeah.
Have to cross in water. So I think what's unique about what you presented to me is that if it's typically an arid area and they were only moving to you because of some of the opportunities to get a drink, if you will, I could definitely see that affecting them. Typically it's usually a food source though that I see dictating most of the travel, or if you will, the repositioning of where they normally hang out to where they're hanging out now.
Yeah. And that's, I didn't even really think about it. And again, I'd been contemplating like what's going to happen with all the deer movement. But last night, I used to, right behind my house, I used to have tons of deer and we live right in the middle of town. There's a little patch of woods though. And so that used to be years ago, they were always, I would see deer every year. I mean, just, you could be shooting your bow and have 15 deer just standing there watching you shoot your bow. And they disappeared. Like I haven't seen them in a long time. And I was like, that sucks. Like I just enjoyed watching them, enjoyed looking at them. And last night I saw them back in the field again after years. And I'm like, that's interesting. And then it dawned on me like, well, there's the little creek that goes behind my house hasn't had water in years. And now it has water again and they're staying here. Like, and so I'm curious to see how it plays out, man, because I think some of your properties that used to be bangers are going to be just, the deer, they went somewhere else or they didn't have to leave where they were going to come here. But then I think other properties are going to be, just, man, I've never seen deer here before. And now it's just lights out because there's water here. And so I'm curious to see how it's going to play out. It's going to be a different year. I'll say that. And that's why, as we get into our discussion about early season hunts, the number one tip I want to give you to the listener is not to hunt the property the same way you've hunted it every year. I know the struggle there is real. Like to just say, well, this is how I've always hunted it. Man, I've shot a deer out of this tree for 10 years straight. I know that struggle is real, but landscapes change. Like I remember one time, and this is just an example, but I remember one time I was sitting in a tree stand the first week of season. I hadn't seen a deer and I'm like, man, this is usually a go-to early season spot. Well, there was a real nice pinch point between two bluffs. This was in Oklahoma, between two bluffs. Well, a big old tree had fallen right in that. So deer literally could not cross through there anymore. I didn't scout the property. I'll be the first to admit it. I never went down there and looked because I just was hunting it off of memory. So, and the water's a great example. Properties are going to change. I can promise you that. Properties that don't have water now have water, and properties that used to have water, maybe even have more or less because now it's creating runoff and going to other places. Anyways, don't hunt a property just based off of memory. Get out there, get boots on the ground and see what's my property doing this year. It might be the same as in the past, but it very well might be different too.
Well, you add in crop rotations too. I mean, which is a reality. And as you know, that will change. It's interesting. You talk about a tree. I just had that situation happen, and it was one of those trees that I can't move. It's a big old oak tree, and it fell kind of on a ridge, on the side of the ridge, onto the ridge. So it's a great place, natural pinch point all the time. And I'm like, doggone it, that tree's really messing things up. And I don't know what I'm going to do to move it. So,
so with that being said, we are getting ready for season. Seasons, are kicking off. Youth seasons are open here. So we're starting to get that itch. What are you doing this time of year, to ensure success in the early season? And if you've listened to the podcast much at all, most people know I'm not a big early season hunter. The water, I do think will change things. I do think I'll go out more because again, I've got properties that you don't see anything until all the crops are cut off. But now that now that some are holding water, I'll probably go out more, but I'm not a big early season hunter. I don't like to sweat. I don't like mosquitoes. I don't like ticks. But what are you doing right now to ensure that early season success?
Yeah, Dylan, I'm much like you. I don't typically hunt till maybe 2 or 3 days before Halloween, with the exception being a cold front. I always like mid-October. If you get some uncharacteristic cold front that comes through second, third week, I think that's a banger time to get us a nice surprise in the woods. But what I'm doing over the next 3 to 4 weeks, is I'm going to be watching, taking inventory, seeing what's on my properties, look at deer counts, and seeing if I can locate a couple of bucks that I left alone last year. So ironically, I got back from Illinois. I have a small place down there that I hunt. And so what I did exhaustively on Saturday is I'm putting a bunch of licking branches out. So, and this isn't the same in every state. And there's probably people who have had even more experience than I have, but from Nebraska, the Dakotas, Kansas, Illinois, Michigan, I found unbelievable attraction, if you will. Not that I'd use this only as an example, but you could have a corn pile down in Illinois, which is illegal to bait and all that good stuff. But I will tell you, a good vine.
It's an example, folks. It's just an example.
It's an example. You get a liquid gold laying there versus what I like best in Illinois is I put vines out. So I'll take my machete and I'll find these vines that are growing up on these trees. And for some reason, they love those vines. So as soon as you cut a vine, and I'll use zip ties on a tree limb to bend a nice piece of a vine down. And as soon as you cut them, they start dripping. And I don't know if it's something with the dripping, the freshness, But I'll tell you what, they will use that as a communicated device. The bucks, and more importantly, the does, they'll use that all season long. I have pictures that I already got from Illinois. They're already, rubbing up on that vine. And I usually put about 10 different licking branch locations, scrape combinations out, and they're already hitting those. And I have pictures as deep into January and February after season where they're still communicating
with those same
licking
vines.
branches. Yep. So that's the big thing I'm doing right now, is setting up cameras, getting a bunch of mock scraped, licking vines, licking branches. I kind of alternate. My favorite licking branch, I don't know if you've had much experience with this, but I definitely like oak branches the best. It seems like every other branch I take, it looks great at the time. It's got a lot of leaves on it. But as you know, the nice thing about oaks is they hang on to the leaves a long time. And so I definitely try to find a nice oak tree where I can get some nice licking branches and or vines. So that's what I'm doing right now, is really just getting everything set. The other thing, not to be overlooked, but tree stand safety. I mean, back to doing the things you've always done the same way. And I've done it before, so don't think I'm righteous of crawling up in his stand for the first time that you haven't sat for a year and just expecting. Now, I use pretty decent stuff, so I don't worry about it, but you never know when a squirrel's going to get up there, get it one of your straps on your tree stand. So the other thing I did, got up every tree stand, checked all my steps, checked all my tree stands, make everything's safe. And so right now it's kind of a wait and see game for me. Inventory, seeing what's there, and then obviously watching the weatherman.
I think that's an important thing that you mentioned about October. The myth of the October lull is just that. It's a stinking myth. Mm-hmm. Deer don't go into bedding and hiding for a month. Like, they don't just disappear. But think about it. Like, all summer long, you're driving down the highway, you're driving to your stands, to your properties, and there's standing crops. So you see them out in the field. And come October, they're starting to cut all that down. So all of a sudden, all that's starting to disappear, and they move to a different spot to find a food source, which is in the hardwoods. So you don't see them as often because you're not seeing them out in the fields, driving down the interstate, driving to your stands. In the early season, you might be walking in and there might be 15 deer out in the field that you spook out. So you're like, oh, this place is littered with deer. Come October, the deer are still there. They've just moved off of those open fields because the crops have been cut. And so you have to locate the new food source. You have to find that food source. But to your point, some people just write off October completely. And I'm with you. I usually that week of Halloween is about the first week I hunt. It's starting to cool off. Things are starting to be, you feel like it's time to go hunting. It's not, you're not sweating to death in your tree stand. But also the deer are starting to fire up. You can start grunting, start rattling. It's more of an interactive, fun hunt than just sitting a trail that they're coming on. You can be more aggressive in your hunting because the deer are starting to get more aggressive. So I usually don't go until October, but like you said, do not write off a cold front in October. Like, if you get a dump of snow in October, go hunting. Like, I promise, go hunting. You'll thank me later. Now, what that's going to do, two things. Deer are up and moving. You will see deer. The biggest buck, I chased this deer for 3 years. And the only time I ever had him within 100 yards was in an October cold front. It dumped snow. I had no intention of going hunting. And I'm like, holy cow, it's snowing in October. So I went hunting, had him at 40 yards, couldn't get a shot at him. It's the only time I ever had him in shot distance was in an October cold front. But it's also going to teach you what to expect come October 31st, November 1st, first week in November. You're going to start seeing how the deer are going to be using my property. How are the does going to be moving through here? What are the bucks going to be using? And it's going to teach you a lot. Like, you'll not only, you might not shoot one, but you're going to go into that prime time with a better understanding of how your deer are going to be using the property.
Yeah, that's good noted. I mean, I think probably the other maybe exception is like in Michigan here. My son has a buck that we've been watching pretty closely. He's got 2 years of sheds, and we're gonna try to. My son's gonna set October 1st. It opens up right away in October here in Michigan, and he's gonna try to use this predictability. Now, this is gonna be. It appears from what reconnaissance we have, it's gonna be a really late evening deal. But I mean, what I love about October is you just have a few September tendencies yet in some of these bucks that they may be bachelored up a little bit yet. They're not completely, they're still pretty good buddies right now. They'll get a little more chippy here in a couple of weeks, or 3 weeks probably. But that's the only exception, man. If you have a really nice buck and you can get some predictability, there's no better time outside of September 1st to get predictability where the season's open September. So, I would tell you, if you got the drop on one and you really are focused on him, just learn him as best as you can. And with the advent of cameras, it's I'm not going to call it cheating, but it's certainly a lot different than the old days where it was pure speculation and pure weather fronts alone is the reason you normally got out to the stand. It's a few days here. We're going to be in October. I can't believe it. Leaves are changing already, and it's going to get exciting.
Yeah, I can't wait, man. I really like more so than normal, and I don't know why. More so than normal, I just literally can't wait. I actually purposely, like I told my wife, I'm like, I'm not going to go on an elk hunt because sometimes when you go on an elk hunt, you don't get to get fired up for deer season until after that elk hunt. So you get back late September and then you're like, all right, it's time to get into deer mode. I'm like, I just want to be in deer mode. Like, I just want to be all about deer. I want to be thinking about them. I want to be dreaming about them. I just want to be in deer mode this year. And so I've got some exciting new things this year I'm excited to do. I've got some public ground in Oklahoma that's only accessible by boat, which I've always wanted to do that. Like, I've always wanted to just kayak in and hunt public ground. I've never had the balls to do it. It's hard. I mean, it's going to be a hard hunt. You're not hunting private property. And that's, I have no shame in saying that. I hunt private properties a lot. And so it's going to be a difficult hunt, but I'm excited to just get out there and just, go crazy, man, and just chase them and have fun. So coming into early season, if somebody is like your boy expecting, hey, the day season opens, and if there are seasons open already, so some people are already out hunting, what are the tactics you use going into this? I mean, do you strictly focus, there's still some standing crops, do you hit those food sources, travel corridors to and from food and bedding? Like what would you be looking at if you were to go out today?
Yeah, right now, this time of year, I would definitely hunt field edges and probably hunt evenings. I think mornings, are tough in a lot of ways. I always prefer mornings. It's my favorite. But the late time of year or the early season like this definitely hit field edges. I mean, they're hitting, standing beans right now, standing corn. The beans depends on where you're at in the country. They're getting pretty ripe. They've been eating quite a few leaves off my beans even this year, corn. And then I think alfalfa greens right now are just really good. So if I would tell you to the best where they're bedding, the closer you can get to a food source and their bedding area, because of the late movement, and specifically if it's warm, like you're suggesting it is where you're at now, or some warm days, the closer you can be to a food source and their bedding area, is your best option right now. Because otherwise, if it's a long ways from bedding to food source, you're probably not going to see the bucks before dark right now. So that'd be the tactic I'd use. Hunt evenings. Make sure you hunt the conditions like you would, like you're going to shoot the biggest buck of your life. Be smart with your prep, and that'd be what I'd recommend for sure.
I will say, to your point. Well, let me say this first. That's exactly what I was going to say. Find bedding that's close to the food, and then position yourself closer to the food, in my opinion, because what happens is those bucks, as they approach the food, as they get to the field edge, they'll stage themselves. They'll give you that standing for a minute and looking into the field and just kind of scanning the field. And so what I have found is usually the bucks do that in the same general area for now, because they're not thinking with their pecker, they're thinking with their head. They're going the same way. That's they're creatures of habit. And so even if my stand is 50 yards from that spot, it gives me that opportunity to see where they're entering the field edge, where they're given that second, of staging themselves before they enter the field edge. And then I can move my stand accordingly and get within that position. But to your point, prep is very, very important in this time of year. You don't trick a deer. Well, you don't trick a deer's nose ever. I mean, if they get downwind of you ever, you're busted. However, it is easier. Like when you get into November, it is easier. It's colder. It's harder for the deer to smell when it's colder. You're not producing as much odor. You're not sweating as much when it's colder. So it is easier to get by with some things in November. This time of year, man, those deer's noses are on point. Like if your wind drifts by them, you're done. So be very cognizant of wind direction. Be very cognizant of odor control. Aaron and I will both tell you, like even with the activated carbon that's found in ScentLok, you cannot trick a deer's nose. You still have to hunt the wind. I don't care if you shower. I don't care if you put on, ScentLok. I don't care if you put on spray after that. You still have to hunt the wind. Those things are great insurance policies. Those things are great to help you get by if they do get downwind, to give you that extra second and a half that you need, but you still have to hunt the wind. So be very, very cognizant of that. Whereas, like, again, in November, you can get away with a little more. They're not thinking about you. They're not thinking about your scent. Their nostrils are filled with that hot doe, and they're chasing after her, and they're dumb. They're stupid. Right now, dude, they're on point. Like they know what's going on when it's going on.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and it's hard when it's warm like this too, but to your point, evenings is kind of cooling down. I just make sure you take a lot of time getting there early and just set it out. I mean, the other thing I kind of like this time of year too, and not every property has this, but if you have any, I call them appetizer plots, something on the way to the food source. And I just don't like going way back in the woods right now. It's nasty. There's a lot of green stuff, a lot of catchy stuff right now. But if you have if you have a small little clover plot, I mean, I'm talking really small places where it's an appetizer to them, where they'll hit that. Like if you're trying to kill a specific buck, he might be hitting that before he gets all the way to field edge as well in the evening. So it's another strategy. But again, I just super careful this time of year of going places I really don't want to go for the mere fact that we have a lot of time in the season. So I kind of like to cast my web, kind of dial it in, really understand what I want to do if you're targeting a specific buck.
And that's another thing. A lot of times, like if I just have the itch to go out this time of year, I'm just going to sit way up, man. Like just sit way off in the distance, find a hay bale, climb up on it, grab a spotter, and just enjoy the evening and just watch the deer. Where are they coming out of? Where are they going into? How are they using the field edge? How are they using these pinch points? And just watch them and learn that. Now, there has been times where I'm like, I'm just going to go out and scout this week and just sit behind the glass and watch. And then night 3, I'm like, that buck has went the same spot every time. I'm going to bomb in there and I'm going to hang a set and I'm going to kill him. And my plans change. But if you just have the itch and you're just like, man, I just want to go out, but I really don't know where they're at. I don't know what to hunt. Don't know how to hunt right now. And like you said, I really don't even want to go in there and booger them up yet. Like I want them to be fresh when I go in there for the real deal. Not that this isn't the real deal. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Just sit back and watch, man, and scout them. Find you a high point. Find you, man, here in Kansas, if you can find yourself an old barn to climb up in and just sit in the barn and watch out of the window at the field, like that's perfect. Just find somewhere to pull yourself back and watch and take all that information in. Now, as far as you're like the king of, I'm going to say you're the king of hunting apparel. Like that's, I feel like you've earned that title. With that being said, what kind of, man, and here's what I want to say before we get into this. Gone are the days of crappy old like cotton pants. It's making a comeback though. I don't know. Your kid's probably past that age, but like in high school, man, you drop your kid off at school and everybody's wearing old trashy camo. Like that's what's cool now.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, my dad's the coolest guy on the block again. Like that's awesome because he's never got rid of it. But gone are those days, man, of having to, you're wearing cotton sweatpants and they're soaked because you walk through the bean field by the time you get to your stand, and you're wearing 3 t-shirts, and like gone are those days. We have such and even in whitetail gear, it's such technical gear now. Like you can really layer and create yourself a really good system, a really comfortable system. It's not just, technical pieces of gear are no longer just I'm going out elk hunting, I need to build a kit. Like there are incredible systems that you can build for whitetail gear. There are incredible technical pieces that you can use in whitetail season. So that being said, how are you clothing yourself for the season, early season?
Yeah, thanks, Dylan. Well, a couple of things. I mean, as an example, ScentLok Forever was just camouflage hunting gear. And just as an example I gave you, I talked about Saturday, I was wearing a lightweight merino top and our new Insight light pants, which are great, if you will, non-hunting garments. I mean, you could wear this for layering. I still prescribe use carbon as an outside shell, but I was using our Insight light pant, which is really nice, lightweight, stretch, good mobile pair of pants. And I was ripping through the woods, putting up tree stands, doing all the camera work I was talking about, licking branches, and wearing lightweight merino top, from a comfort perspective. So we're comfortable even not in the tree. And then
before you go on, let me just say this, gentlemen, wear the Insight light pant on date night too. Your wife says they really make your booty look good. I'm telling you, man, I got some compliment. I came up and I'm like, got some new hunting pants. Mama's like, you should probably wear those on date night. You looking pretty good in those.
Yeah, from the farm to the field to the fancy restaurant, I guess. They span it. So yeah, we've done things like that because I'll tell you, people just want to be comfortable because when you're out 100%. There doing stuff, and then transitions right into the tree. Our best selling franchise piece forever has been Savannah, and this year we came out with Savannah Fuse, which is a new version of our Savannah franchise program, and it's super lightweight, good stretch, good mobility to it. And we also put a cooling technology in too. So you put your hand against it, the backside of your hand, you feel the cooling. It's kind of like a xylitol. And so we're trying to make, garments for that early season. You talked about earlier where it's warm, where you're just looking for some, disruption with a camouflage silhouette. You want really good comfort, whether you're hunting in a tree saddle or you're sitting in a traditional blind, or maybe you're sitting on the ground blind. You want as light a weight garments you can to be comfortable and to do as much as you can to, I call it, minimize the variables, if you will, that can get between you and your deer. So Savannah Fuse jacket and pant. So that would definitely be our best early season garment. And if you layer, to your earlier point, you can wear that, you can wear that in the mid-October. Depends on what Mother Nature, end of October, depends if you're in like Kansas or Oklahoma or southern states, you can wear that pretty deep before I would say you transition into a more of a mid-season package.
Yeah. And that's always my goal. First off, Savannah Fuse, I'll be hunting in it. I leave on Wednesday for an antelope hunt. And I'll be running and gunning in that for the exact reasons you just said. It's a beautiful piece for being active, for moving around, for sweating, for getting hot. But I've already got it bloody. I shot a whole bunch of doves in it, and that was nice. Me and the boy went out and shot some doves and had a good time. But that is an incredible piece that ScentLok introduced. And the Insight light pant, I said that jokingly, but really is just a super comfortable everyday pant even.
Yeah.
I've gotten to the point where I can't even hardly wear blue jeans because I love the heat dump vents. And, even, you're at a basketball game and, or you're at a football game and it gets hot. You can just, cool off a little bit. Like, it's so nice. So that is really like an everyday driver for me. I've actually preached in that pant. I preached in ScentLok and I was talking about how, they say wear your Sunday best. And I'm like, well, listen, I ain't got a 3-piece suit that costs as much as my camo. So I'm here, baby. But really beautiful pieces. And, I'm excited to really push the Savannah out, on the antelope hunt. And, here, and like I said, here in Western Kansas, I don't live in Western Kansas, but here in Kansas, we're still getting temps up 90, 95, 100, and we're going to be putting in miles. And so that's about the best test you can put for early season gear, is putting miles when it's 95 degrees. So, but to your point, my goal with gear is to look at something that is not one-sided. In other words, unless it's 100 degrees, I can't wear this piece. Unless it's 7 degrees, I can't wear this piece. ScentLok has some pieces that you cannot put on until it's an Arctic storm. And once it gets below 0, then you can move to that piece. My goal is to look at pieces and look at a piece and see how can this work with the other system to get me further into the season or to get me earlier into the season. So and we're not here to talk late season, but the perfect example is the Ridge line from ScentLok.
Yeah.
I can use that in mid-October, but layering, I can get, almost down to 0 with that. And so it's a really good piece that gets me a lot more out of the season rather than just, okay, well, I have to wear this when it's super hot. I have to wear this when it's 50-ish. And then I have to wear this when it's below zero. And so that's what ScentLok does really, really well, in my opinion. They make pieces that can work together to get you further into the season. So it's not like, well, if I buy the Fuse, I can only wear that when it's 95 degrees outside. You can, again, with the introduction of Merino from ScentLok, which is incredible, with the introduction of the Fuse and some other pieces, those things really work together to get you further into the season. Who doesn't love a good gun? Who doesn't love a good gun shop? Just walk in, get up on the countertop stool, and share stories with the boys. Talk guns, talk calibers, talk recent hunts. It's a good time. Gun shops are a great place to go and hang out. However, there's a couple gun shops that do it better than others. And then there's one gun shop that really stands out. Powder and String Outfitters. Yeah, I'm a little biased because it's right here in the great town of Wellington, Kansas, right here in my hometown. However, I can tell you that anybody that walks into Powder and String is basically blown away, because Powder and String Outfitters takes you back to a time where, downtown shops were experts in their trade, where a man's word was his bond. They got a creaky floor, they got rustic decor, and they've got a massive selection of guns and ammos. They're a full service gun shop. They've got an in-house hot bluing facility. They've got a full machine shop. They've got a custom legendary gun engraver. Literally, when I say legendary, Mr. Brian Strange, their hand engraver, is world class. They've got the engraver. They've got gunsmiths. They have everything that you could ever possibly dream of having in a gun shop. They're also a small town, hometown, family-owned shop where you can call and talk to the owner. Guys, they've taken that same feel, that same great gun shop feel, and made it available online, powderandstring.com. You can buy all your guns, all your ammo, all your shooting accessories right there online in the convenience of your own home. You can stand behind the people that you're supporting because the guys are phenomenal. And again, I am of the opinion that if I'm going to shop for guns and ammo, I don't want to do it at a big box store. I want to support somebody like the Powder and String staff. So guys, go check them out for all your guns, all your ammo, all your shooting accessories. They've got it. They are knowledgeable. You can call them. You can talk to somebody, figure out what you need, why you need it, how you need it. They'll take care of you. I actually just bought a new shotgun there. Bought a new A300, and the first shot out of that gun was a dead bird. That's what I'm talking about. And I got it based off their recommendation. Guys, they're phenomenal people. Somebody you can be proud of supporting. Go check them out, powderandstring.com. With that being said, as you move into October, what are you changing about your clothing system? What are you adding to the bag, taking out of the bag? How does that change as the year goes on?
Yeah, the word that I use and we've spent a lot of time here internally talking about, we really don't use the word system much. We use a toolkit mentality. And when you go from a system,
because that's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. And trust me, we've sold the Savannah jacket and pant or the Ridge and pant, and you could call that kind of a system. However, because things have changed so much as far as layering options, I call it toolkit. So, I will many times match a top that maybe is a little heavier. I might be wearing the Ridge top because that has a really super quiet face, has a Berber inside, thermal. So it's a more thermal. And I'm typically a little colder on top than on the bottom. So I may wear that Ridge jacket and I might combine it with a Savannah pant, and maybe a pair of base layer, because it's just, I just don't need that extra thermal value. So, whether it's early season or you start transitioning to mid-season, my go-to piece is definitely Ridge. Ridge is brand new for this year. We used to have a program called Forefront But Ridge, I'll tell you, is a more mid to maybe later mid season jacket and pant, depending on your own thermal sort of regulation. Some people can wear a t-shirt and it can be snowing out, and others like me, I get a little colder. So definitely Ridge has been brand new for us. It's got incredible traction so far, and it's super quiet, as I mentioned, that thermal value. That's what I'm going to move into. And to your point, I don't know when I'll use that. It's really up to Mother Nature. I more than likely, when we start getting 40 and 50 degree mornings, and I suspect that's going to be probably later in October, I'll transition into the Ridge. And I'm really excited. I actually got to use it last year, field testing it and putting it through its trial. And so I'm looking forward to using it. It's just a great piece, the Ridge jacket and pant.
Yeah. And so for those of you who, have listened to the show, you're familiar with ScentLok, the Ridge hoodie was one of my favorite pieces, not just of last year, of all stinking time. Yep. I don't think I took that off. Like once it got past, like you said, 50 degrees. Yeah. When it was first at 50, that's all I wore. But I was hunting that thing at, 10, 15 degrees and just, adding more pieces, taking more pieces away, partner that with a heated vest and you can pretty much get me through anything. Like I just, that when Steve-O told me that there was a Ridge jacket and pant coming alongside to work with that hoodie, I was like, dude, that's a game changer. Because again, my goal is to look at a piece and not say like, all right, this is going to be great for 40 degrees and raining. My goal is to look at a piece and say, dude, I can use that starting in mid-October and get me to the 1st of December. And, then maybe I have to jump to the next piece when you're getting more wet and nasty, snowy weather. Maybe then I have to jump to this piece. But my goal is to look at a piece and say, dude, this right here can serve me well across the board. And my spring bear hunt, I don't know if I've shared this with you yet. My spring bear hunt is a perfect testament of that. I went to Canada in late May. And so we were expecting, late May Canada weather. Starting to get 70, 75, nice and sunny, beautiful. And dude, it was like I was hunting late November. I mean, we got 23 degrees one night. And so I was so glad that my pieces could work together. And it wasn't like I only packed for 75 degrees. And so many people do that. Like so many people go into hunt and they're like, well, I've got super hot gear, but the hot gear can't partner with other pieces to make it cold gear. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so I was super excited that my pieces could work together and I was comfortable. I did get cold. I'll admit that I didn't pack for 23 degrees. I did get cold, but I survived and we ended up killing a beautiful cinnamon. Like anyways, that was a perfect testament of like so many people look at a hunt and they're like, all right, it's going to be 75 and sunny. So they pack for 75 and sunny. But with the pieces that ScentLok has introduced, they work so well together to say, okay, well, if this does happen, I can partner these together, get me further. I can partner this together, get me further. And it's just, it all works together so well, man. Like you guys have put together this beautiful camo puzzle, if you will.
Well, and everyone has their personal preferences, but we try to make it easy for consumers because I'm very close to it. Thank you for I blushed a little bit when you said the hunting apparel king or camo king, whatever you said. But it's a matter of what you're comfortable in, what matches your thermal needs, what matches whether it's a camo pattern. I'd say we offer the most extensive offering of camos because ultimately you want the camo to blend into where your home is and where you hunt, if you will. So we have an extensive offering there. And then, the other thing you said is the heated vest. So you can add the heated vest to the Ridge jacket and pant, and you can take that super deep. And I like to wear less. I mean, the older I get, I am a little colder than I normally was as a younger man, but man, I want to wear less, whether I'm in a tree saddle, I'm hanging and banging, or I'm trying to, just be comfortable in the stand. I mean, you have to be comfortable. That heated vest is a great option. Doesn't put much on you from a weight perspective. It has good internal insulation. And then you turn that vest on and pump the jams and, man, it's marvelous. And just feel like I'm not like the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. I can move and draw and I don't have all these crazy things going on. So, this toolkit mentality, add and subtracting based upon Mother Nature is definitely the way that I think and how we think about putting our customers in a great, successful spot too.
Here's a pro tip for you. Slide your pack of M&Ms right behind that the heat section, and then pull them out in about 40 minutes, and you got some melty, delicious M&Ms. Oh, baby. Oh, baby. That being said, like, walk us through what kind of materials you want places. You know, where do you want merino? Like, if you're going to put the merino in the line, if you're going to put carbon, if you're going to put, like you said, thermal insulation, like, where are you playing all of that? As far as layering and building that kit out, where do those materials go?
Yeah, I guess maybe on the fly here, the best way I would break it down is I think about next to skin, and then I think about a mid layer, and then I think about a more of a shell or protective layer. So as I think about the merino, like this merino 250 hoodie, big ass right there, I think about that as a next to skin, right? So I always wear a base layer, whether it's a merino or it's a carbon Trek base layer. I wear that next to skin. Now, I may not wear something on the bottom, but typically I have a top on underneath my jacket, if you will. And then what I think about is those mid-weight pieces. So if you think about a heated vest, you think about the Ridge hoodie, even though you can wear that as an outerwear, you can layer with it. So you think about those plus ones that you would add, or, a non-heated vest, or we have a new jacket come out, nicely insulated jacket that you can put under your outer shell. So that's the two steps I think about. And then I think about shell. I think about your pant. I think about a jacket. And that's how I build out, if you will, this story. And carbon, no matter what I do, Dylan, I want to make sure I have carbon on my outside layer. Now, again, if you want to take some scent control, definitely base layer is good. Definitely, if you want to keep using whatever you're using for camo, buy your ScentLok base layer, because at least you're getting antimicrobial and you're getting odor absorption at the skin level. And that's where most all the damage is done. You think about scent coming out of your body, it's through your skin or your pores. And so definitely, that would be the one piece of scent control. And then the other thing I think about from, just minimizing the variables again is definitely a face mask. There's two holes you have that emit a lot of bad stuff, and one's down here and the other one's your mouth. So to the degree you can make sure you have carbon over your face. Now, I may pull it down, and be looking around, but definitely when I start seeing deer around, I'll be pulling it up, making sure I minimize to the best degree I can, my odor signature. So again, next to skin, mid layer, and then I think about shell environment.
And that's a good point. Like, a lot of people don't think about layering. They don't think about the technical pieces of gear until it's like, okay, I really got to stay warm. But honestly, I think those mid-season hunts are even more important, because if you just bomb in there, you're sweating to death by the time you get in there. Like, if you have enough clothes on to stay warm until the sun goes down, the hike in there, you're going to be hot and sweaty. Yeah. So I think it's almost even more important. And that's why I'm a big fan of the merino. Like I said, the Ridge hoodie is my go-to. So I might be wearing a merino top without the hoodie to walk in, because that merino is going to be pulling the moisture away from my body, and it's going to be absorbing the moisture, and it's going to be absorbing the odor. It's naturally antimicrobial. So if once you get there and it's sweating, it's not going to hold on to that bacteria in the sweat. And then when I get to my stand, I throw on the Ridge hoodie. Yep. And now I've got the activated carbon as an outer layer. So I think really these early seasons of going in and out of your stand are really, really important, as far as like, man, don't just bomb in there with all your clothes on, because you're going to be sweating by the time you get in there. Yeah. And as far as, and here's what I'm going to say, my biggest tip when it comes to whitetail season, I talk a lot about boots, and I talk a lot about your feet. And I talk a lot about quality boots. Here's what I'm going to tell you. When it's time to whitetail hunt, my hiking boots, they hit the garbage. Like, they're out. I don't wear anything with leather on my feet. Nothing with synthetics on my feet whatsoever. That's going, because leather holds scent naturally. Like, and here's where this dawned on me one time. I was shooting my recurve, and I kept getting a delicious scent of beard oil. Like, as I was shooting my bow, and I'm like, what is that smell? Like, I hadn't put beard oil on, so I'm like, why am I smelling my beard oil? And I smelt my finger tab for my recurve, and it smelt just like beard oil. And I was like, dude. And still to this day, like anybody who doubts this, I'm like, go smell my tab over there. Like, go smell it. It smells just like beard oil because that leather holds the scent of that oil.
Great example.
So I put the leather boots away. Like you'll never see me walk in and out of my tree stand with leather on my feet. Always switch to a completely rubber boot when it comes to whitetail season because you're going to be leaving scent on the ground.
Yeah.
Well, you're going to be leaving scent in the woods no matter what. But I certainly don't want to be stomping through the woods with leather boots on that are going to be holding the scents that they've picked up from my truck, from my office, from my home, from the gas station. All of these places that leather is going to be trapping that scent in, and then I'm just walking through the woods with it. So leather boots, I leave them in the bed of my truck until I get to my spot. Then I put on the leather boots and I go in. I don't wear a leather belt. I don't wear anything leather when it comes to whitetail season. I always switch that stuff out. Yeah,
That's a great one. And trust me, there's a lot of guys wearing leather boots and saddle hunting and it's a little cool kid card. And plus definitely leather boots are more agile. If you think about saddle hunting, getting up in the tree stand, they're more agile, but I'll tell you, I'm with you. I've had too many memories of deer following me. A doe gets nosy and she starts taking me right to the tree. And that typically will never happen to me with a rubber boot, but definitely leather boots. And I think it's like anything. You can hunt any way you want. As long as you're out there enjoying God's great gift he gave us, I'd rather you be out there than not out there. However, it's this mess around and find out sort of deal. It's just a matter. I think about all the variables that can get between you and the toughest situation you might get into with a really wise deer, girl or boy alike, right? So I just try to do my best, Dylan, and the rubber boots is an example. The more you can be ahead of the game and minimize as many of those things, whether it's using the right camo, whether it's showering, taking care of your clothes, rubber boots, using a face mask, having a nice mode path or a strategic path to your stand, if you will, so you can be as quiet as you can be, or hunting, the right conditions where the predominant winds are typically in your best situation for that given evening or morning. The best you can do that, the more success you're going to have. Now, does it guarantee on this edge that you're not going to run into something? No. However, I'm just telling you, there's enough going on at that moment of truth or that buck or that doe approaching that I want to have as many things minimized. Again, I didn't say eliminated. Eliminating anything is almost impossible, but to the degree you can highly, decrease the probability that variable is going to get you, the better off you are. And then, as you know, you still got to make a great shot. The deer's got to behave like you want to. And there's a lot of stuff that even happens outside of that. But that's my typical approach, Dylan. I don't have a lot of time to do it. I don't think a lot of people have time to go out in the woods. So I would just tell you, treasure those. And heck yeah, it's more work to try to button things up before you just say, I'm just going to go hunt for the evening. And again, if you just want to go hunt, great. Just know what you're getting into. And those seeds that you sow, there's going to be, yin to the yang, if you will.
Yeah. And Eichler put it this way one time on the show. He's talking about a game of percentages. He's like, you're right. Doing this might only decrease my chance of failure by 1% or by 2%. Or doing this might increase my success by 1% or 2%. But at the end of the day, once I've added all those up, so if I wear rubber boots and if I use activated carbon and I wear a face mask and I hunt the wind and I think about the thermals and all of these things that add up to 2, 4, 5% chances of increase, at the end of the day, I've just increased my chance 29%, if I add all those up. So while yes, like if you just look at it as like, man, if I just wash my clothes in scent, like put it that increases my chance by 2%, like, okay, but by the time you add all those things up, and I'm a believer in hair holds scent. That's why I shaved that chrome dome. I had a beautiful head of hair, man.
Sure.
But really, I cut my beard shorter for whitetail season. I don't want I want to trim that up, get all the hair off my face. And because I'm like, yeah, it might only increase it by 2%. But once you add all of these things up, all of a sudden I have decreased my scent signature by 17%. Like that makes a big difference, man.
Yeah.
That's a big difference. And yes, like I can't echo this enough. We've already said it in the beginning. You have to hunt the wind. We are not saying if you put on ScentLok and spray down, you can do whatever you want. That is not what we are saying. You still have to hunt the wind.
Yeah.
However, the wind always swirls. Deer always go downwind. Like the best plans always have a hiccup in them. So we're saying this is going to eliminate those chances, help eliminate those chances. And to your point, when you're walking in and out of that stand, Cuz Strickland told me, I like to think about things like a dumb redneck because I'm a dumb redneck. But Cuz Strickland was talking about, if you think about like everywhere you touch when you're walking in, think about if I was leaving orange paint as I touch this tree, as I touch that tree, and then you look back and your trail into your tree stand is covered in orange. Like you can look back and see it. That's all the places you have left scent. And so like when you go to cross a fence row and you lay your bow down and you grab the fence pole here and you wrap your arms around the tree to swing your leg over, and then you look back and that whole area is slap covered in orange. Like think about those things when you're going in. Think about, and if putting rubber boots on my feet can eliminate the orange footprints coming in, great. So look back at your trail as you're coming in and see how much orange would be left behind. How much orange paint did I just smear on that tree that I rubbed up against on my way in? Yeah. Because the deer are going to be using the same trails and they might not ever even get to you. Yeah. You might be hunting the wind perfectly, but they never even got to you because you got busted on your trail coming in. Like,
yeah,
man, it's all a chess match, dude. And anything I can do to increase the chances.
I've heard it. The Eichler thing. I've heard said another way, which is I position myself for taking advantage of luck, if you will. So maybe said another way, it's like people that are very successful, very consistently, usually they're positioning themselves. People say, well, you're really lucky. No, I've just positioned myself for better odds, if you will, of success. And so again, we're talking about scent in this conversation. I'm including, how to get to your stand. I'm talking about observation, scouting. It could be about shooting your bow. It's all these things that come down to the second something great or maybe not great's going to happen to the point of truth. And it's that writing that down, making sure you know all those things that if you really want to take this serious and you want to be the best you can be, it's how do I make sure I'm the most accurate shot? How do I practice it? How do I make sure my equipment's right? I'm going to make sure that when I'm in the stand, I'm comfortable and I'm not cold and I'm shaking, or it's the scent conversation we had, or the approach or the wind or that's how I think about it. I think about all those little things, like how do I minimize as many of those things that will just, that can creep up and get you. You just don't know when they're going to get you.
Yeah. And that's something like, and I know that there are people listening to this and you're like, dude, I go out 2 weekends a year. Like you guys, you're taking this way too serious. Well, can I just say this? If I only had 2 weekends a year to do it, I would probably be a little more serious about my scent control, about where I'm walking, about where I'm leaving scent. I would probably want to get the most out of those 2 weekends. So I understand that there are a lot of people listening to this. You only hunt one state and you're back 40 and you go out 2 Saturdays a year. I get that. Make the most out of those 2 Saturdays. Like make the most out of those 2 Saturdays. And I'm not telling you that you have to go out and spend thousands of dollars on clothing. I'm not telling you have to go out and redo your boot system. I'm not telling you that's not what I'm saying. But to echo our points, you can take steps to start eliminating some of these things just by putting a face mask on. Yeah. Just by covering up your stink hole on your face. Just by covering that up, you can make a big, big difference. Just by showering with soap, scent-free soap before you go out. Just by, throw your ScentLok in, even if it's not dirty. Throw your ScentLok into the dryer before you go out and fire that dryer up for 20 minutes because it's going to heat up that carbon and activate that carbon. That is how that works scientifically, right?
Absolutely.
I didn't know if it did, but that's always what my stupid brain told me. So I always just throw it in there. And here's what I do. I turn the cycle on, I turn the dryer on and just let that carbon heat up. And then I toss a nano ozone generator into the dryer, shut the dryer door back and run that ozone in the dryer before I put my clothes on. So the carbon has been activated and then the ozone is killing all the scent on those clothes. And then I throw them on and go out and hunt. I'm not always the strictest. I might leave the house, at 2 p.m. and be in the stand by 3, and I didn't have time to shower and wash my clothes and do all those things. That might be me, but I'm still just going to take as many little steps as possible and look at the hunt and say, what can I do to make the most of this hunt?
Yeah.
And that's what I'm going to do.
Well, Dylan, I would say is that, I've been around a lot longer than you, and I've been around a lot longer than most of your listeners. You just don't want to get in that situation where you're hanging your head and you have this notion come across that says, I wished I would have. And it could be, I wished I would have worn rubber boots. I wished I would have shot my bow more. I wished I would have made sure this tree stand was ready to go. I wished I would have went through my pack to make sure I have everything. I wished I would have had the right clothing so I didn't get cold and I could stay in the stand all day versus having to leave when I don't want to. So you think about, man, I wished I would have. That's the mentality of a serious whitetail guy or your weekend guy even. I've taken the limited time I've had to get out there, and you're hanging your head because something didn't go right. And you said, doggone it, I wished I would have. And that's really what we're talking about today is, make sure you tie it up as best you can because you never know what's going to happen when you get out there. And the deer's got a mind of its own too. So we haven't talked about that because there's nothing we can do about that.
Yeah, the deer has a vote in what happens. And, I can't. Here's what I'll say. And this is just, again, basic redneck theology here. Once I punch off that release, I cannot control anything else that happens. I cannot control if the deer ducks. I cannot control if the deer, jumps forward or does a backflip and matrix over my arrow. Cannot control any of that. But what I can control up until the point where I punch that release off and that arrow is flying down at that deer, I'm going to do everything in my power before that moment to ensure the best chances of success.
Amen.
If that deer chooses to never come by, I can't help that. If that deer gets shot by the hunter on the next farm over, I can't help that. I can't help if the deer beds down with a doe at 90 yards and never gets up and comes my way. I cannot control that. I can't control if the deer jumps at the string. I can't control any of those things. But what I can control, I'm going to do the best job that I can. I owe it to myself and I owe it to the deer that I'm hunting. And that's all I'm going to say.
Control what you can control. Control what you control. And that's all we're talking about, the list of variables that to the best you can control them.
Yeah. And then blame everything else on the deer. That's what I do. Now you've already found some success this year, haven't you?
Yeah. My son and I went out antelope hunting in August in Wyoming. So we were lucky enough to draw some non-resident tags in Wyoming. So we went on public land, do-it-yourself hunt and on BLM land out in the middle of Wyoming. So yeah, it was a great trip. I love the pronghorn. I love that time of year. I don't love the heat, if you will, the day. I mean, a lot of times you're hunting water holes, spot and stock, depends on the topography where you're at. But yeah, we had a great trip. Just great to be away from the noise. My son said something that was just great. And you forget this, I grew up on a farm and ranch, out in the middle of South Dakota. So I had plenty of these, I could hear myself sort of think sort of thoughts. But he's never grow up in the country, if you will, where there's no light pollution or noise pollution. It was funny. I remember one of those evenings we're sitting there getting ready to get into the tent that night. And he goes, Dad, do you know how quiet it is? I'm like, yeah. He goes, it's so quiet. I think I can hear myself think. I'm like, yes, that's why we're here. No light pollution, no noise pollution. And as a father and it's one of those things that when you get older like me, you're out there to have the experiences. The kill's just if you get a chance for a kill, it's just the icing on the cake. Everything else is the lead up and all the fun in the outdoors. So yeah, we had a heck of a hunt. And the only good thing about an elk hunt or an antelope hunt, the best thing about it, even though you're not thinking about whitetail, I'd say the 2 seasons that you're the best shot is when you have an antelope tag or you an elk tag. I'm telling you, we all know we're out there shooting. And, for me, it's June, July, putting a lot of heavy work in there. And then it doesn't take much to sharpen up the knife, if you will, when it comes to whitetail hunting. So that's a good part of it. I'm ready to go. A few shots here and there every couple of weeks, and I'm ready for the whitetail season. So bring it on.
Yeah. I've actually never been on an antelope hunt before. It was one of those animals that never interested me at all. And then the moment that it did, I was just ate up with the thought of going to chase antelope. There are some species where I'm like, dude, if I ever got the chance to hunt them, that'd be cool. But the moment I was like, antelope sounds cool, it was I'm all in on antelope. I want to do this. And the success rate in Kansas with a bow and arrow is 4%. But I've got a buddy who seems to do it every single year. And he's just got this formula figured out. And I don't know what he's doing or how he's doing it. I'm going to figure it out. But I was actually supposed to be there all this week. I was supposed to be gone starting yesterday after church. But I got invited to preach down in Oklahoma at an event on Wednesday. So I'm going to leave after that. And my trip will be cut short, but I'm excited to get down there, man. It just, those critters excite me for some reason. I'm not sure why, but to go to your point, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say today's the 22nd of September, and I actually texted my dad this morning. So growing up in South Dakota, the antelope, we did a lot of chasing antelope. And when I say I'm chasing, there was a lot of water, so we weren't hunting water holes. We do a lot of decoying. So you want to use decoying tactics during the rut, where they're pretty protective of their girls. And the whole strategy is you get close enough within 100, 200 yards, and you flip up a male decoy and a small buck. And if he's pissed off, if he's that moment, he's like, you ain't getting anywhere close to me, he'll run you off. So I texted my dad this morning because I looked down, it was the 22nd of September. And I just said, Dad, you know what day it is? He goes, hell yeah, I know what day it is. And the 22nd is just a very special day for me. Just had a lot of success decoying antelope from the 20th to the 24th. But I look at some of my pictures, and I've killed probably half a dozen bucks between, the 21st or 22nd, but 22nd was a special day. So today, if you get a chance and you're out chasing antelope, hopefully you're decoying, it's a great day.
Yeah.
And I don't care weather aside for the antelope. It's just almost like clockwork is, the 20s are really good. 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, just great time to be hunting antelope with decoying.
Very cool. Well, I'm going to have to take my decoy then.
Yeah.
To your point about taking a kid out, that's also these early seasons. October is a great time to get the kids out. If you've got littler kids, I don't take my son out when I don't want to make him miserable. No. I don't want him to grow up to hate hunting because he was sitting in it started snowing and he got freezing cold. And, that's his memory of, man, that sucked. I was cold, I was wet, I was tired. So October's a really good time.
Absolutely.
It's not too hot. It's not too cold. So think about getting the kids out there. Think about taking them out and for what I would say a less pressured of a hunt too. If you take them out November 8th, that's prime time, dude. If you move, I'm going to kill you. Whereas October, you can get away with a little more, you're just there to have fun. You're there to scout. You're there to see what's going on. Did I tell you I got to shoot a bear in Idaho in the spring with my son? We were on the ground at 32 yards, and my son was right next to me, dude. And we shot a bear together, and he just lost his ever-loving mind.
Oh, well, that's good. That's great. You just get them excited at that age. And I did it with my daughter quite a bit too. And it's just funny between my daughter and my son. And there's a lot of girls that love hunting. I tried try as hard as heck as I could to take my daughter, turkey hunting and sitting in the blind and, in the spring and early fall. And it didn't take on her, but my son, it definitely took on. So, the other person that I think about early season is, someday, Dylan, when you're old and I'm old, guess what our favorite month will be? September and early October to deer hunt. It's my dad. Mm-hmm. So you can imagine my dad, the everlasting great white hunter. We'd always be about the November. Now he's about, hey, early season, Labor Day and September 1st in South Dakota when deer season opens up. So that's when I like to kill them. No more of this November business. I like
That's
the
funny.
first creature comforts of September and October.
That's funny. Yeah. I mean, my dad's getting, his body, it can't stay warm anymore.
Yeah.
He just can't get out there and do it. And it's a lot harder. Heaven forbid it snows and the truck gets stuck or something. I mean, my dad's just, listen, I don't have to worry about it because he's never going to listen to this. He's old and frail. I mean, he's there to that point. So yeah, I would agree 100%, but, it's an exciting time, man. And I would just encourage everybody, start getting out there doing the work. Like Aaron said, he's already been out hanging cameras and checking stands. Get out there and do it. It's an exciting time and an exciting time to start getting inventory, to start seeing, what's on your ground, to start going out there and scouting and having, if your seasons are open, to go out there and have some early season sets. Especially like Aaron said, if you get that October cold front, get out in the woods. You will be happy you did. Guys, thank you so much for listening. I would highly encourage you as you gear up for the fall. If you don't if you're not familiar with ScentLok, go to a Cabela's Bass Pro, try some pieces on, get your hands on them, see what size you need before you order it. If they don't have the camo in stock you want or the size you want in stock, at least then you'll be able to know what size you need and what pieces you really like and what pieces, fit you well. There are some pieces in the ScentLok line. Listen, full transparency, I love the gear of it, but it doesn't fit me well. Like it doesn't fit my pudgy body type well. And so I don't choose to wear that one. Go to a Cabela's Bass Pro, try all those pieces on, see what you like, see what you don't like. Check out the Ridge line. It's my favorite line that there's ever been. Check those things out and then get ready for season and get those kits kind of laid out, and figure out how you're going to play all these together and how you're going to put them all together. I have had a long time love for Garmin products, and for good reason. When it comes to smartwatches, when it comes to GPS wearables and handhelds, when it comes to devices to stay in touch with my friends and family when I'm off grid, there's just simply nobody that can compete with Garmin. Here's the best part. They make something for everybody in every price range. So whether you're looking for something like the Instinct, which is one of my favorite watches of all time, it's incredibly well built. It is priced phenomenally, but it is also just as tough as nails. You could throw that thing through a meat grinder and it's going to come out just like the day you bought it. All of that, and it still offers me all of the GPS features that I need when I'm on the mountain, still offers me all of the cool smartwatch features that I want when I'm in the office or at the gym or tracking my sleep habits. And then you move up to something like the Tactic series, which has ballistics built into it. It's got lights built into it so that you can use it as a flashlight around camp. It has full color GPS maps. Guys, Garmin has something for you. And then you move on to something like the InReach, which is the best thing that you could ever have to stay in touch with friends and family when you're off grid. Let me tell you something. Mama likes getting text message when I'm on the mountain just to tell her that I'm safe and that I love her. But it also gives her an incredible peace of mind knowing that little device in my hand, if something were to happen with the touch of a button, I can let her know where I'm at. I can also alert rescue teams to let them know where I'm at. Guys, I literally trust Garmin with my life. And then as far as the bow shop goes, they make the best chronographs that you could ever get your hands on. Guys, here's what I'm going to tell you. Whether you're looking for a new wearable to just get smart notifications when you're in the office or a new wearable to track your sleep habits and your workouts in the gym, or whether you're looking to go off grid with full color GPS maps, Garmin has a wearable for you. They also have a full line of handheld GPS and devices to stay in touch with friends and family. Guys, go check out Garmin.com because I have never one time went wrong with a Garmin product. If you've got taxidermy in your house, any shape, form, or fashion, doesn't matter, Euro mounts, full body mounts, turkey fans, I don't care. If you've got any kind of taxidermy, or if you want to prep your animals in the field in order to get the best taxidermy work done possible, you need to check out Velvet Antler Technologies. Listen, it is not just for velvet antlers. Do not tune me out and say, well, I don't chase velvet bucks. I don't kill velvet bulls. It does not matter. If you want to preserve your trophies in the field, whitetail, antelope, bear hides. If you want to preserve your trophy in the field and get it to the taxidermist in the best shape possible, they've got products for that. If you want to get those European mounts as white as possible, they've got products for that. If you want to take care of your trophies while they're on the wall, keep them clean, keep the bugs out of them, they've got products for that. If you've got blood in your clothes from packing out those animals, they've got you covered. Or if you want to do some turkey fans, they've got you covered. Hanging the Euro mounts on the wall, they've got you covered. They're your one-stop shop for all things trophies and all things field care in order to get your trophies looking the best they can. Guys, go check out Velvet Antler Technologies before you go on your next hunt and ensure you get your trophy back in the best condition possible. Guys, thank you so much for listening. Have a fantastic week and keep the dusty side up.